Hello, welcome, and thank you to anyone watching my 2026 NHL Mock Draft. Uh, Pretty self explanatory here what we're going to be doing. I'll be doing top 45 picks because originally my team picked 43rd and I wanted to get both of our picks in, but we traded that away for Valerie Nichushkin, so they won't be picking there anymore, but I still, went with the plan. Uh, this is usually most people's favorite part of the whole draft process is the mock drafts. I waited to do it because the NHL has been pretty crazy this week, and I wanted the draft order to be finalized, so I'm doing this the morning of the draft. But let's get into it. Starting with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think this one's pretty straightforward here. It's all but confirmed. They will be going with Gavin McKenna. He is a skilled playmaking winger. He'll step right into the league and play on their power play. Hopefully it works out for him. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks. I was team defense since they won the lottery. I thought they should pick Chase Reed, but some of the moves they've made in the past couple of days all but confirms this pick will be Ivar Stenberg, a good two-way playmaking winger. Probably a higher floor than McKenna, lower ceiling, but will be a very impactful piece for the San Jose Sharks. Next, we have Vancouver. This is interesting. I think either this pick or what was going to be the next one has been impacted the most by these trades because I thought Stenberg was going to be there for them. He won't be, obviously, based on my mock draft. So I'm going to go with Caleb Malhotra, but that one's up in the air. There's some reports that that's not who they maybe want, but I think just given their situation, given what they have, given the player, I think that's the pick. That should be the pick, in my opinion. Next, we have Buffalo at 4th overall, who acquired this pick for Bowen Byram. I think they're hoping for Malhotra to drop here, but I don't think they're going to reach for a center just because he's not, and I think they're going to go with the best player available on their board, and that would be Chase Reed, I think. A good offensive-minded right-handed defenseman. That blue line will be crowded, but, you're not losing sleep over that. Next, at 5th overall, we have the New York Rangers. I'm caught in between two guys here. My top two defensemen on my board, personally. But I'm going to go with Carson Carrolls. I know some reporting has been done that they like Smits a lot, but I'm gonna guess they go with Carrolls. I think most people think he has a higher ceiling, and that's just the guy they're gonna take. I think he'll fit next to Fox. If Fox is still there, I think that would be a real good spot for him. And my next pick is going to be relatively similar for Calgary. I think, they got Prek, they got Nemec. Both very offensive-minded guys. I think they could use a guy who can play with either of those two, that can keep up with them while also maybe being a little more responsible, a little more physical, and that is Albert Smits. I think that's an easy pick. Big, strong, fast left-handed defenseman. I think he'll pair perfectly with either Perek or Nemec. Next, we have Seattle. Seattle needs a defenseman, right? They've never drafted one in the first round, to my knowledge, and it's a gaping hole. They need to really start to develop a plan here, and I think Verhoff's going to be their best. He's not my favorite defenseman left, but I think he'll be theirs. Big right-handed defenseman from Western Canada. So even though Seattle's in America, he's kind of... I guess he's not close. I believe he's from either Calgary or Edmonton. Or actually, he might be from Saskatchewan. I don't know. Doesn't matter. He's from out west. I think it's a fit. Big defenseman with a big shot. Definitely some scary traits there, but it's the guy at this point in the draft. Number 8, we have Winnipeg, and I think they should not make this harder than it is. It's Viggo Bjork. They've needed a second line center like my entire life, and I think Bjork might end up playing on the wing, but you're drafting him with the expectation that he'll be your elite two-way second line center, and no matter what, I think you get a player out of him, and maybe he could step in and contribute before their current core is aged out. Next, we have the San Jose Sharks again, with the pick they acquired for William Eklund from the Senators, who got it for Brady Tkachuk. So it was originally Florida's pick, and I thought Florida was going to take a defenseman. I think San Jose is going to take a defenseman, and it'll be Daxon Rudolph. Offensive-minded, right-handed defenseman. I think he'll look good next to Sam Dickinson. Hopefully a guy that can run their first power play. So we're looking at, Celebrini, Smith, Stenberg, Misa, and Rudolph. That's quite the group. And even, one of Stenberg or Misa could be out for Chernyshov too. Maybe he could play better in front of the net. I don't know. But they're looking good right now. And this is only going to elevate where that team can go. Next, with Nashville, I think it's hard because I think if Barry Trotz was still there, you could probably have a pretty good idea of where they're going. But I think it's a little more up in the air with McFarland. I still think they're going to go with a similar pick with Oscar Hemming. He is a strong, physical, big power forward who has a great shot. He had a hard time finding somewhere to play this year, but I think he showed a little more at Boston College than the stats would say, and I think he goes high. He's like I said, he's a big power forward. They has a floor too because he's very physical, and I think he goes to Nashville. I think Nashville prefers him to another big forward that'll go later in the draft. So to recap our top 10, we have Gavin McKenna to the Maple Leafs, Ivar Stenberg to the San Jose Sharks, Caleb Malhotra to the Vancouver Canucks, Chase Reed to the Buffalo Sabres, Carson Carrolls to the New York Rangers, Albert Smits to the Calgary Flames, Keaton Verhoff to the Seattle Kraken, Vigo Bjork to the Winnipeg Jets, Daxon Rudolph to the San Jose Sharks, and Oscar Hemming to the Nashville Predators. Next, we have the St. Louis Blues at 11, and I think they are going to go with a center here, Tynan Lawrence. A very fast, two-way center, hard-working center with a good shot. I think he's St. Louis has a ton of picks here, so I think they're just right here. They probably take their favorite guy, and I'd say it's the center with the higher floor, the best like floor ceiling ratio or combination in Tynan Lawrence. Next, we have the New Jersey Devils, and I think they're going to want size up front, and that's Ethan Belchitz. I'm not in love with Belchitz's game. I prefer Hemming to him. That's why Hemming went earlier. But still, I think it's a fit. I think it's a good pick at this point. He's a big guy, big and skilled. Maybe projects to be similar to Timo Meier. I know that hasn't necessarily worked out for New Jersey. But if you get Timo Meier at this point in the draft, you're very happy. Next, we have the New York Islanders. I originally had Daxon Rudolph going here before the Sharks traded up to get that 9th pick. But now that he's not here, I think they're going upside. And that is Wyatt Cullen. His dad played there. I don't actually think that plays into it much, but it'll be a good story. He's got skills. He's got good hands. Another one similar to Belchitz, I'm not the biggest believer in, but he's a good player. He's a good prospect. He's an exciting prospect, and I think that's where their heads are going to be at. Next, we have my Columbus Blue Jackets, and this one I'm going to be just straight up making my favorite pick, the guy who I want here, if I can find him. That is Elton Hermanson. I'm a big fan of Elton Hermanson. I think he's probably the most skilled guy in the draft, only second to McKenna. And I think he's going to be here. I think that's an easy slam dunk pick. Next, with the St. Louis Blues, they will be going with Malte Gustafsson. Strong, big, good skating, left-handed Swedish defenseman. This guy's not going to drop in the draft. He's got too many tools, too high of a floor. He's got so much things going for him. St. Louis, at this point, has all these picks. He's the best defenseman there. That's easy. Next, St. Louis again. Another pick I love for them, Nikita Klepov. I wouldn't be surprised if Nikita Klepov goes 14 to my Blue Jackets, but right now he's still on the board, and I think that's another great pick for St. Louis. A very skilled, offensive minded winger who led the OHL in scoring this year, if I'm not mistaken, either first or second. They have you look at their prospect pool, they got a lot of goal scorers, right? Carbonneau, Snuggerud, even Holloway. Holloway's good at scoring goals. I don't think they have too many real facilitators. Obviously, Robert Thomas is. He's one of the best in the league, but nobody knows how long he's there, and you could always use more. So I think they go with Klepov. I think it's a great pick. Next, we have the LA Kings, and I have them taking Maddox Dagenet, a big forward out of the Q. I see him as a winger, but I think he'll score goals. I think he'll be physical when he wants to be. He might be a little bit of a headache, in my opinion. But I think LA's going to love the size and upside combination here, and they're going to be excited about this pick. They just moved off of Liam Greentree, and now they replace him with a guy who moves a little bit better. So, yeah. Next at 18, we have the Washington Capitals, and I have them going with Oliver Suvanto. Big, responsible Finnish centerman, one of the highest floors in the draft. And I don't know if any of you have seen Washington's forward core recently. They don't need much help. They don't need to swing for upside. They're getting a player here. I think they'll be happy to have him. I would think about defensemen, but I'm not. They could pick Ryan Lynn, but I don't know. They want another smaller guy. I like Ryan Lynn. I don't know how much teams like Ryan Lynn. But with Cole Hudson, I don't think they're going to take a undersized defenseman here. I think they'll go with the oversized forward who will play games for them. In the same vein, we have Utah next, and I have them taking Ilya Morozov. That seems like a very realistic situation. It's the type of guy they like. I think if you're running Cooley, Denoye, Morozov down the middle for the next decade, you're in a good spot. That's a great player. I think he's got more upside than maybe some people think. He's got good hands. He can move well. He'll be able to play in front of the net, and he's got a strong two-way game. So I think they'll be happy to get him, and I think he'll be happy to go there. It'll be a good situation. Next, we have Buffalo with the pick they got from the Sharks for Michael Kesselring in their pick swap. And I have them going with a guy I'll have to find here. And there he is. He's pretty low on this. Alexander Command. He could be gone by here. He's getting a lot of late buzz in the draft. But I like him. I think he projects very similarly to Morozov. He's got the floor because he's a responsible two-way player he can get physical, but he has offensive upside too. He's very smart. I think he's good at moving the puck. He's good at finding places to be. I think he could end up being a second line center, but I think you're getting a third line center here. And a hot take, I don't love Buffalo's center depth for their future. I like Hellenius, Um, I don't love Kulich. I think he's good. I think he might be better on the wing, maybe, but I don't know if he'll ever be a second line center in the NHL. Um, Tate Thompson's all but a winger at this point. So I think you target a point of weakness here, which is what they wanted to do with the fourth overall pick. They couldn't, and they circle back to it here. Next, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and I promise this is not a prank or a dig. They are going with Brooks Rogowski. It's on brand, right? They took Jack Nesbitt 12th overall last year. They like their big guys. They like their high floors. Rogowski should be a Michael McCarron type guy. And he wasn't bad either at in the OHL this year. He produced pretty well, but there's not too much upside here with the skating and the skill, but there is a floor with the size. And that's what Philadelphia is going for. Oh, I will recap. I forgot to recap the last 10, so I'll recap 11. That's fine because there's however many left. St. Louis Blues took Tynan Lawrence at 11. 12, the Devils took Ethan Belchitz. Wyatt Cullen went at 13 to the Islanders. My Blue Jackets took Elton Hermanson at 14. St. Louis took Malte Gustafsson at 15. They came back at 16 and picked Nikita Klepov. Then Maddox Dagenet went to the LA Kings at 17. Oliver Suvanto comes off the board at 18 to the Capitals. 19 for Utah goes to Ilya Morozov. Alexander Command is 20th to Buffalo. And Brooks Rogowski goes at 21 to the Philadelphia Flyers. Next, at 22, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I hate the Penguins, but Kyle Dubas seems to have his finger on the pulse here. He's not afraid to, take swings. And you'll definitely see that with the pick I have planned for them later. But this time I think they're going to go with J.P. Hurlburt. He's got some skating issues, but he's smart and he can shoot the puck. I think Dubas is going to like him. And I think he'll at worst, I won't say this is a surefire player because of the skating issues. He could never make it. But I think this dude's going to have a lengthy professional hockey career scoring goals. Wherever it's at, he'll do it. But I think Dubas is going to like, the elite trait, and he's not going to let him drop any further. Next, Boston at 23. I have them going with a right-handed defenseman. Not the one you're thinking of. This one's out of Finland. Again, if I can find him here, maybe I went past him. Yep, Juho Piparainen. He is a big, good skating right-handed defenseman who should project in more of a defensive role. I don't love the offense, but I think you have a floor here that makes him a player. And Boston needs some defensemen. They also need centers, but, who are you taking here, right? So they're going to take this guy, and they're going to be excited about it. Next, we have the Vancouver Canucks at 24, and I think people are going to get excited about this one. I have them going with Liam Ruck. You could probably guess who their next pick's going to be, but right now we have Liam Ruck. He is a very smart, kind of gritty forward, probably a winger, I think, who He knows how to find good ice. He goes to the good spots to score goals. And he'll be going to Vancouver, where maybe he'll have someone else there with him. So I like the fit here, mostly because of the proximity of Vancouver's picks. Next, we have Ottawa, who got this pick from Florida, I think. For I don't know who Florida originally got it from, actually, but I think they're gonna go with a guy who probably shouldn't still be here, but he is. And that's Adam Novotny. He's really been dropping in a lot of rankings and mocks from what I've seen. But, sorry about that. My dog's drinking water in the back, if you can hear that. Yeah, I think this guy's got a high floor. He's got an NHL shot. He's got NHL speed. He can play physical. He's got a good brain. So I think you're getting a guy who can, play up and down the lineup and excel in all roles. And Ottawa needs some wingers. And I think Novotny should be able to join the lineup relatively soon. Not next year, obviously, but maybe even the year after he can contribute. He's already a man. Next, we have the New York Rangers. And this is where the slide stops. Ryan Lynn. I have Ryan Lynn going to the Rangers here. And I know he's a little similar to Adam Fox. He's a better skater, but I don't know how much longer Adam Fox has in New York. And you can't ever have enough right-handed defensemen. Braden Schneider is probably going to be gone soon. And they drafted Carroll's 5th overall. I think a Carroll's and Lynn pair could be very nice. You got pretty good skating. You have two responsible defenders who have offensive upside. I like it, and I think he's way too good to go any farther. So we have Ryan Lynn to the New York Rangers. Next, at 27, we have the San Jose Sharks. And this one, I don't know, this might catch people by surprise. I think they need a little bit of grit. Not even grit. I think they need a little bit of nastiness and physicality. So they're going with Maxim Sokolovsky, who is a ginormous defenseman. He's Russian or Kazakh. He's one of the two. I think his Elite Prospects page has both. He played in the OHL this year, and he's a big goon. His puck skills and feet are much better than you'd expect from somebody with this profile. So not only do you have a floor here, right, of a, big, physical, nasty defenseman to play on your bottom pair, I think you got a guy that could maybe eventually play on a second pair, maybe as a shutdown guy. Like the guys I watch keep comparing him to Nikita Zadorov, and I don't not see that. I think he could end up being that. But at worst, you have a guy who can go out there and, maybe protect some of your smaller, skilled, I don't want to say soft, but you get the idea, forwards. Next, we have Montreal. And this guy I'm going to have to search for because I have him much higher than most. So I'm going to have them going with right-handed defenseman Luke Shire. I think he's a big guy that can move well. I think maybe a couple years down the line, we'll see if Matheson's still there. I think he could play next to Hudson. I think he has the feet to keep up. He's got the brain to keep up. He can move the puck with him well, and he's good defensively. He plays a strong two-way game. I like it. I'm not entirely. I don't think he'll go this high, but I would love the pick for Montreal if he does. Next to St. Louis, just a recap, they took Tynan Lawrence, Malte Gustafsson, and Nikita Klepov. So, they got a center, they got a winger, they got their left-handed defenseman. Now we're going right-handed. Tommy Blyle, American defenseman out of the Q for Moncton this year. He is strictly offense, essentially. But he's good enough at it. He can skate. He can move the puck. You got 4 picks. Why not try this guy? I think that would really set their defense core for the future. Right? They'd have Gustafsson, Lindstein, and Broberg down the left side. They have Blyle and Juracek on the right side. Obviously, you need one more right-handed defenseman, but so does everyone else. So I like this pick for them a lot. And we'll be moving on to Calgary at 30, where I have them taking... They got a couple picks in this range. Or actually, they did. They might not anymore after that Nemitz trade. But I have them taking Yegor Shilov. He is an incredibly skilled center. He's a Russian who played in the Q this year. He'll be going to Penn State either next year or the year after. And they need centers, so they're taking a very skilled one who he's got a little bit of an inconsistent level of engagement, but if you hit here, you hit on quite the player. So I think they're taking a risk on a guy that can hopefully play up in their lineup, play on a power play with Parekh or Nemitz in the future. And I want to say he'd immediately be their best forward prospect. I think I prefer him to Reshny. Well, he at least has a higher ceiling than Reshny, we'll say that. And I definitely prefer him to Cullen Potter, who they took in this similar range last year. Next, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, who honestly would have picked Yegor Shilov. But now with him off the board, they will be taking Mathis Preston. That's how they roll. Upside picks. A very skilled player, very fast. He's fast. He's got a good shot. He's dropping because he's small and he did not produce at an elite rate in the WHL this year. Still, Carolina loves this type of player. I think that's kind of an easy pick to make for them. Next, Ottawa, the pick that was gifted back to them. They're going to take somebody big, right? So I was kind of thinking either Pugashov, wherever he's at, but they went with Novotny earlier. They're going to go with the defenseman here. That is Nikita Sherbakov. Just a very, very big, lanky project who a couple years down the line, maybe he turns into a very high-level player. Similarly to Nikishin, is who I keep comparing him to. So now to recap, at 22 we have J.P. Hurlbert to the Penguins. 23, Juho Pipparainen to Boston. 24, we have Liam Ruck to Vancouver. 25, we have Adam Novotny to Ottawa. The New York Rangers take Ryan Lynn at 26. Maxim Sokolovsky to San Jose at 27. 28 is Luke Shire to the Canadiens. 29 is Tommy Blyle to the St. Louis Blues. 30 is Yegor Shilov to the Calgary Flames. Then we have Mathis Preston to the Carolina Hurricanes at 31, and Nikita Sherbakov to the Ottawa Senators with the final pick of the first round. Next, we have another Canucks pick. I'm sure you can guess who this is going to be, wherever he's at. Marcus Ruck. My opinion, the not as good Ruck, but you take one, you're kind of committing to the other. I think we're all on the same page with we think that's what's going to happen. So, hopefully you get a little Ruck magic here. Pair the Rucks with the Sedins in the front office. Next, we have Chicago with their first pick of the draft after an absolutely insane trade to get rid of a couple others. And I have them going with Gleb Pugachev. See where he's at here. I think he's pretty low on this ranking, unless I missed him. I feel like I had to have missed him. Here, let's just look him up. Jeez Louise. Oh, they have him all the way at 71? That's a little... I think that's kind of appalling, actually. He is a big physical Russian with a high floor and maybe a little bit upside. I think maybe he could turn into one of my guys, Dmitry Voronkov. The big boss is good at getting down in front of the net, mixing it up, throwing his body around. He got some skating issues, but the size kind of cancels that out at least a little bit. And Chicago's in a tough spot. They don't have... You're the third worst team in the league, and you don't have any picks until 34. So maybe they take a swing for upside with a guy that I will have going at some point in this, before the end of this mock draft. But I have them going with Pugachev. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes in the first, but I have him going to Chicago. Next we have the New Jersey Devils, and they will be going with the first Lithuanian hockey player I've ever seen, to my knowledge, Seamus Ignatavicius. Again, similar to their first pick with Belchitz, they need size. This guy's got it. He's got a little bit of upside too. He's got a good shot. He has no real holes. I don't think the upside's the highest. But you could end up with a guy who can kind of slide up and down the lineup. At worst, I think you have a fourth liner here. And at 35, if you get a player, everyone's happy. Next, we have the Calgary Flames again. And I have them going with William Hawkinson, a big, mobile Swedish defenseman. Not the highest ceiling, but similarly to the last two picks. A guy you think will play lower in your lineup, kill penalties. Maybe he gets higher, and you have Smits to play with Prek and Hawkinson to play with Nemec. Because Nemec and Prek are both going to need like a responsible defensive defenseman to play with. And I think you're hoping with this, At worst, you have a bottom pairing penalty killing defenseman. At best, you have your top 4 set. Next, we have Chicago again. And I have them going with another forward. This time, Jack Hextall, a center who played for Youngstown this year in the USHL. He is a responsible two-way guy. He doesn't have the best feet, but I like his playmaking and his vision. And I think he's pretty creative with the puck. I'm not in love with Chicago's centers. Of course, that depends on what Frundell is. But I don't think Bedard and Frundell both end up playing center. I think one of them gets kicked out. So then you have Nazar and Moore. I'm not sold on either of those two. So we're drafting a guy you're hoping can be your third-line center. And probably Nazar as your second-line center. You can kick Moore out to the wing. But yeah, I think this is a good player. He's smart. He has upside with the playmaking. But I think you're just taking a center here. Your best center on the board goes to Chicago, Jack Hextall. Next we have Seattle. I think they're taking another defenseman here, and it will be a Czech defenseman if we can find him. Another guy that's pretty low on this. Oh, that's 70. Jakub Vanacek. They took Keaton Verhoff with their first round pick. Vanacek, I might like Vanacek more, honestly. I think they're taking a guy here who I think has an NHL floor. He's got good instincts. He's a good skater. He's got a good shot. Not the most offensive guy, but he's a defenseman. And I think he's the best one left. Seattle likes to take defensemen early in the second round. And I think that they're going to pick their favorite here. There's a couple guys, but I have them going Jakub Vanacek. Next to Pittsburgh at 39. I tip my hand a little bit that Dubas likes upside. You can't get much more upside than this. You can't get much more of a project either. Jackson Cover, a very skilled winger from the London Knights. I grew up playing roller hockey. He's only been playing ice hockey for 5 years. You have no idea what this guy's going to turn into. And, Dubas likes to take those chances on guys. He does it all the time. I think this is right in his playbook. Next, we have the Florida Panthers. And another upside swing here. I think they're going with Marcus Nordmark. They don't need much. And at this point in the draft, they want the highest upside there. It could be another guy here at the top that I'm not going to take. But they're going to take a very skilled forward with a lot of concerns. But still, 40th overall, you're taking this chance 10 times out of 10. Next, at 41, to the Vancouver Canucks. One of my favorite defensemen in the draft. My favorite one left, at least. Adam Gollier. I could be mistaken. I don't think they've taken a defenseman yet. So they're going to take one here. They need a defenseman. He's the best one left. He's right-handed. I think he's got some upside. I think he's good at moving the puck. He's got a good defensive game. Adam Gollier, Slovak right-handed defenseman to the Vancouver Canucks. Next, we have Nashville, who is famous for being good at drafting defensemen. And I think they're taking another really good one. I really like the three defensemen that just went. Vanacek, Golier, and now McBeath. I don't love McBeath's puck skills, but he's got great feet. He's incredibly fast. I think high end maybe your he could be Mike Matheson, right? I don't think that's a horrible comparison. Low end, I think you gotta. He, like I said during my defenseman video, he might have a floor just with the skating. So I think they're taking him there. They're taking him here and trusting their development. Next, it still has my Columbus Blue Jackets. I could be mistaken. This pick got traded for Nichushkin, but I'll take the guy who I was going to take because I'll be taking him for Colorado too. That is Adam Valentini. I love the player here. I would have loved to have him in my pool. I think Colorado's going to love him if they have this pick. I think they do. Maybe this isn't updated yet, or I'm wrong. Either way, Adam Valentini goes 43rd. Gritty, feisty little guy. Again, play up and down the lineup. I like Ryan Hartman as a comp, who has a 60-point season, by the way. Next, we have the New Jersey Devils, a guy who I would take earlier. I'm much higher on this guy than the consensus, although he's ranked pretty high here. I'm going with Ryan Rubrick. You notice a pattern yet with the Devils? Size. Ryan Rubrick does not have the floor that the other two have, I don't think. But I'd almost argue I like him more than Belchitz. And I think New Jersey, similar to Nordmark, similar to Shilov, the Shilov pick earlier, at this point, the upside you're getting, you're very happy with at 44. And next, with our last pick in my first ever mock draft, a guy I love, I have him in my first round, Nicholas Arum Olsen to the Buffalo Sabres, a winger who he's got a fourth line floor in my opinion. He's got the physicality. He's got a good shot. He can move. I think, again, similar to what I said about a couple guys, Novotny, Ignatavicius, and Valentini. I think he'll be able to move up and down your lineup. But at worst, I think you have a fourth line player here who can go out and throw some hits. So that will conclude this. We'll do a little recap. I might lose my voice, but I'm going to read through all 45 picks. Gavin McKenna to the Toronto Maple Leafs at 1. Second is Ivar Stenberg to the San Jose Sharks. Third to the Canucks is Caleb Malhotra. Fourth, to the Sabres is Chase Reed. Fifth to the Rangers is Carson Carrolls. Sixth to the Flames is Albert Smits. Seventh to the Kraken is Keaton Verhoff. Eighth to the Jets is Vigo Bjork. Ninth to the Sharks is Daxon Rudolph. 10th to the Predators is Oscar Hemming. 11th to the Blues is Tynan Lawrence. 12th to the Devils is Ethan Belchitz. 13th to the Islanders is Wyatt Cullen. 14th to the Blue Jackets is Elton Hermanson. 15th to the Blues is Malte Gustafsson. 16th to the Blues is Nikita Klepov. 17th to the Kings is Maddox Dagenet. 18th to the Capitals is Oliver Suvanto. 19th to the Mammoth is Ilya Morozov. 20th to the Sabres is Alexander Command. 21st to the Flyers is Brooks Rogowski. 22nd to the Penguins is J.P. Hurlbert. 23rd to the Bruins is Juho Piparainen. 24th to the Canucks is Liam Ruck. 25th to the Senators is Adam Novotny. 26th to the Rangers is Ryan Lynn. 27th to the Sharks is Maxim Sokolovsky. 28th to the Canadiens is Luke Shire. 29th to the Blues is Tommy Blyle. 30th to the Flames is Yegor Shilov. 31st to the Hurricanes is Mathis Preston. 32nd to the Senators is Nikita Sherbakov. 33rd to the Canucks is Marcus Ruck. 34th to the Blackhawks is Gleb Pugachov. 35th to the Devils is Seamus Ignatavicius. 36th to the Flames is William Hawkinson. 37th to the Blackhawks is Jack Hextall. 38th to the Kraken is Jakub Vanacek. 39th to the Penguins is Jackson Cover. 40th to the Panthers is Marcus Nordmark. 41st to the Canucks is Adam Gollier. 42nd to the Predators is Ben McBeath. 43rd to the Avalanche or Columbus is Adam Valentini. 44th to the Devils is Ryan Rubrick. And 45th to the Buffalo Sabres is Nicholas Aram Olsen. Thank you for watching. This one was much longer. I hope a couple of you got all the way through it. But I'm excited for tonight. I'm hoping I think I did pretty good. I'm hoping I got maybe 10 might be a long shot, but I'd be happy if I got 10 right. I'd be happy if I got 5 right. But thanks for watching. All input is welcomed. Whether it's about my presentation or you think my mock draft's stupid. Next video, I will probably be talking about some off-season stuff. Maybe the trades that we just saw. I want to talk about some free agents. I want to talk about some RFAs, even though a lot of them are spoken for now. But we'll see. Again, thanks for watching.